I remember one time I was on a walk and I looked down and I saw a worm that had come onto the side of the road and was struggling to find its way back to the earth. And I just kept walking, and then I stopped and I asked myself, when did I get too old to save the worms? And I know that might sound silly, but when I was a kid, if I saw a worm, I saved it immediately. Just the idea of it shriveling up and dying was so sad to me, because that worm deserved to live, you know? And so I always saved it. And that day I turned around and I picked the worm up and I put it back in the grass, in the dirt. And I decided from then on that I would always save the worms. So I've been feeling inspired to start working on Ophelia Brown book 3 and like plotting it for a while now. I had it completely plotted because I plotted out the whole series, and then I decided, you know what, actually the series needs 2 fewer books than I originally thought, which means a lot more needs to be revealed in book 3 than I was originally thinking, because originally I was thinking it was going to be a 7-book series. I was like, we got plenty of time, you know, take it slow, but it's actually only going to be a 5-book series, so we have to get a lot of information in this book that's been set up in the first 2 books, but it's kind of being expanded on in this book. And so there was a lot of threads to tie in, and I'm just like not sure exactly how to do that. So I was looking for index cards, but I didn't find any. I found a notebook, and I figure, you know, gotta start somewhere. So I'm gonna start just kind of writing out what I know needs to be done, and then try and find some kind of logical order, I guess. And I thought I would just, you know, keep a record of it, try and vlog it, do something, take you along with me, because if I'm working on it, I might as well. I doubt I'm gonna get it all done and like plotted and planned tonight. Like, there's no way. But you know, maybe. At the very least, I'll get started and I'll take you along anytime I work on it, and we'll see what happens. So let's get into it. I think something that's hard about this process, just in general, is figuring out how to reveal this information well, but also how much needs to be revealed about each of these things in this book, if that makes sense. And I'm trying to think through examples of books, especially middle grade books, that do the slow revealing of information very well. Adam and I, my husband and I, we just rewatched the Harry Potter movies. And I think that's kind of one of the things that got me on this trail of like thinking more about what the process of revealing this information looks like, and how to really do that well. I've been considering going and rereading the Harry Potter books, because I've only actually read the first like 3.5, I think, and I got bored and stopped halfway through. I know it's kind of controversial. I was reading them when I was younger, and I was really annoyed by how many adverbs she was using, and I was like, I'll come back to this when I need this story, because now is not the time, evidently. Yeah, I've been thinking about rereading series like that do things well. One of my favorite series is Gregor the Overlander, but I don't feel like there's a lot of that interweaving of things revealed in early stories that crop up in later stories. Like, I don't feel like that's really a thing in Gregor the Overlander by Suzanne Collins. There may be a couple things that are hinted at, but for the most part, it's just the events build on each other. But there's not secret information or new aspects that you wouldn't think of, you know? And so I'm trying to figure out.
There are birds living in our fireplace. I don't know if you can hear them or not. But I was trying to pause, and I thought that it would go away, but it wouldn't.
Anyways, so I just don't know the best way of getting all this information across. And I have some ideas, but I also want the story to be really good. And I think that's something that's intimidating as a writer, is anytime that you want a story to be really good, sitting down and actually writing it or plotting it is scary, because what if I don't get it right the first time, you know? And the truth is, like, I'm not going to get it right the first time. You're not going to get it right the first time. That's not what the first draft is for. The first draft is for getting it on paper. But right now I'm still stuck in the plotting stage. I'd rather not have to go through 7 edits if I could just go through 4 or 5. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to go in with as much information as I can, but I also know that it might not work out, and I might have to edit it a lot, and that's okay if so. But it's just, yeah, it's hard. I'm enjoying it, but it's hard. I'm basically just listing out all the things that I know need to happen and then asking myself the questions that I've been asking in my head and not answering and trying to come up with answers to them. And it's going well so far, except I keep hitting like roadblocks of, okay, well, if this is happening, why is that happening? Or if this is happening, what does that do to this thing? And so I'm just trying to plot myself out of holes. Because, you know, I'm the writer. I create the world. What I say goes. But I also have already created the first 2 books, so I need to make sure that everything lines up with what already exists. And I have, like, the magic system and all these things already pretty much planned out. So it's not necessarily that I'm worried about contradicting myself horribly, but I also don't want it to come across like I'm just making excuses, you know? Like, oh, well, this can happen because I said so, you know? Because the world exists on its own. It happens in its own sphere apart from me. Yes, I created it, and yes, I am the one who's like making the plot happen, but I don't want people to be aware of that when they're reading it, and so I'm trying to make sure that I'm not just saying things to say them or coming up with things because it's an easy way out. And yeah, that's harder than I thought it would be, but it's good. It's good. I'm getting somewhere, I think. My mother is my plotting buddy, but she's not in the state right now, and she's not answering her phone. So I'm stuck, and I'll always be stuck. No, I'll figure it out. It would be great if she was here, though. Shout out to my mom. I think one of the most important questions to ask yourself when you're planning to write a book is, why does this story matter? Like, what's the point? If the right person were to pick up this book and read it, what are they walking away with? Why isn't it a waste of their time? So that's something that I've been trying to think and plan while I'm working on this, is like, who is this for? And what do they need to walk away with from this? And a lot of that's set up in the first 2 books, you know, like the stories are for people who are looking to see the unseen in the world around them. And it's an encouragement to kids and to adults, if adults were to read it, to remember that there is more to the world than just what you can see with your eyes. That there's still adventure and wonder and beauty. That there's more there. There's more than just what you can touch with your hands and what you can see with your eyes, you know? And I think that's an important reminder and something to keep throughout the story, especially as the kids are getting older, because as more books come out, the kids are getting older with each book. So it's an encouragement to them as they're growing up not to lose the spark, not to grow up too fast, but also, you know, stepping into maturity is important. So stepping into that maturity, stepping into that responsibility, but not losing in the meantime the wonder and the whimsy and the fantastical nature of being young, because it's something you can lose sight of really quickly. Like, I remember one time I was on a walk and I looked down and I saw a worm that had come onto the side of the road, and was struggling to find its way back to the earth. And I just kept walking, and then I stopped. And I asked myself, when did I get too old to save the worms? And I know that might sound silly, but when I was a kid, if I saw a worm, I saved it immediately. Just the idea of it shriveling up and dying was so sad to me, because that worm deserved to live, you know? And so I always saved it. And that day I turned around and I picked the worm up and I put it back in the grass, in the dirt. And I decided from then on that I would always save the worms. And I think that kind of concept is one that's very prevalent in these stories. They're for kids, you know? But I remember when I was a kid, I was eager to grow up. And there's nothing wrong with growing up. Responsibility is really, really important. But growing up in the right way is really important too. Growing up in a way where you don't lose sight of the things that are really important. And growing up in a way where you don't just end up being gray, if that makes sense. And you keep the color in your life. And you keep the sparkle and the magic and the wonder. So, yeah, I'm trying to keep that in mind while I'm plotting.